Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Watch Darius TV. I'm back with another review, and this is of Euphoria Season 2. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, share the video for all things Euphoria. So let's start with this. This show is pretty wild. I heard about it a lot, and I before I binge watched the second season earlier this year, I watched the first season, and it was pretty interesting. It wasn't sort of annoying like most teen soap opera shows, like the ones you might see on a CW or whatever like that. Some of those shows are good, I like the Vampire Diaries. I'm not gonna lie, but this was a very interesting show. I don't really remember too much of what I did for season. I mean, for my opinion on season one, but season two was definitely a step up. It's a really popular show. I've been hearing everybody talk about, so I decided to do a quick review of it. Um, yeah, so starting off with season two, just certain things that I just liked and disliked about the season. The intro with Fez's grandma shooting Fez's dad. That was an interesting start to this new season. We get an inside look into Fez's backstory. His grandma kind of reminded me, if anybody ever seen the show Ray Donovan, Fez's grandmother, she kind of reminded me like a female version of Mickey Donovan from that show. If anybody ever seen Ray Donovan on Showtime, the other show on other cable channel show whatever. She's what I kind of get the vibe from her. If anybody ever seen the show, you know what I'm talking about. Fiz's little brother, when he has the scene where he attacks the dealers, that was crazy. This dude is man, he's very lethal for what looks to be a 11-year-old. He's wow. Yeah. Then there's that scene where Rue gets kidnapped. I thought this would probably make her sober after that whole ordeal. That was pretty scary. Her getting kidnapped with the fade chick with the huge lips. Yeah, I thought that would probably sober her up some. But this whole season seemed like it was just about her downward spiral. Then there's a scene where Nate was speeding and stuff like that, and then Nate and Cassie hook up. I didn't see that coming. I don't remember showing any signs of them hooking up in season one, and they might hook up. So that this is a very weird relationship they got. You got Nate, who I guess likes to control women or something like that, I guess, and then you got Cassie, who's desperate for love. So it's I don't want to say it's a Harley Quinn Joker because it's so cliche to say that that's what they are, but it's a very weird relationship they got. I thought Travis was probably going to end up taking Maddie. That scene, the guy Travis, he's from that BMF TV show. I forgot the actor's name, but I thought he was going to end up taking Maddie. Whereas we can see what happened in season one with that one guy that hooked up with Maddie. This dude, I thought maybe I was kind of worried for him. Maybe was Nate going to try something with him, but that dude, they had like a little fling, him, Maddie, and this Travis dude, but nothing really came from it. I guess that was only supposed to be a cameo for the dude who was in BMF. So that was it. But I doubt Nate would be able to do anything to him. That dude, like, he would put Nate's head through a wall. So yeah, yeah, he wasn't gonna be able to punk that guy. And then there's that scene where they're in the bathroom, Nate and Cassie, after he picked Cassie up and they were in the bathroom, that whole tension going on with them trying to hide from Maddie. That was crazy. I love the tension they were building in that scene. Then there's another scene in the season where Rue went a cardiac arrest with that guy. I forgot his name, but his name is going to come up in my review later on. She almost died, and still, she's battling with addiction. So, also, I realized this TV show has 8. See, I'm just going to be jumping around, by the way, just talking about different random stuff. Because, like I said, this review is just, I just binge watched the season 2. This is an episode breakdown, but definitely when season 3 come out, it'll be an episode breakdown. But anyway, speaking of episodes, this show has 8 seasons, and 8 episodes a season. So I would see with a show like this got so many popular stars. It's kind of remind me of Atlanta, where the show has so many famous people in it, and I guess they got so much other work that the show could become so popular that I guess HBO cannot put the seasons out long enough. So they're doing the same thing with Atlanta. They have one season, and then another season come into a couple years later, and then that season, so the first season I believe came out in 2019. So this season come out in 2022, and then the next season I heard is coming out in like 2024. So it's really gapped out. I guess the show is so popular and got so many famous people in it, like Zendaya, that they can't it can't be like a regular show. So They gotta have 8 seasons because I guess the show is so expensive to make. I'm assuming so. Yeah. Um, Fez attacked Nate for snitching. That was another big scene that happened in this season. I believe in episode 1. Nate beats the crap out of Fez beats the crap out of Nate, and it almost seemed like he beat him up so badly that he ends up, I guess, developing feelings for Cassie. So wow, I don't know. That just yeah, he beat the daylights out of him for snitching. So some of the black humor in this show kind of reminds me of that one TV show on FedEx. Not FedEx. FX called Man Seeking Woman. It has a lot of just over the top sort of scenes that cuts to certain stuff to make examples of other stuff. And anybody ever seen Man Seeking Woman, you know what I'm talking about. I kind of like the dark humor in the show, the way they have Rue, narrating stuff, and I like that. And then there's a bar in this scene, in this season. That Rue says, if you dislike your kid, well, that's sort of your fault. When she's talking about Nate and Cal, their relationship. So I thought that line was really interesting. Cassie, well, I guess I think Cassie was really dumb for texting Nate. When they had their affair going on, she's so desperate for love, she's willing to sleep with her best friend's boyfriend because she just desperate for love. I guess that's leaving traces that you were texting him by, like. So Rue continues her battle with addiction throughout the season. I like the fact that this show has no Hollywood story for recovery. It's not like she just suffers from addiction and then she just goes to rehab and suddenly she's clean. Like she really battles this whole season with addiction. I like that. It gets really like you begin to think like this girl really is going off the rails. I thought it was kind of weird that Fez basically beat the crap out of Nate and he just kind of goes to work like nothing ever happened. Like maybe nobody won't call the police on him or something like that. Does he even know who Nate's father is? I'm assuming he clearly didn't because the guy, can pull some strings and find. And he clearly was able to find Fez pretty quickly. So, but I guess Fez ain't worried about nothing. Al Ali, Rue's sponsor, he ends up meeting Rue's mom. I don't know why did I think that they might hook up. I think I would have been in bad taste. I'm happy they didn't because, Rue was still trying to get over her, father's passing, trying to mourning, and so. But yeah. So Cal, like I said, he was able to find Fez pretty quickly. Find that he works at some type of gas station. So and he just wanted to figure out who he was, and they made it seem like he was going to kill Fez, but nothing happened. But we definitely can tell that you know, Fez might end up paying for some type of consequence for beating the crap out of Nate. Rue and Jules they have a sex scene, but Rue is so high she can't even feel it. She can't feel anything. So, and then they have like I said that scene where they were like making a reference to Brokeback Mountain and dressing up like different characters or whatever. That was interesting. Let me see. Rue and Elliot sings something. Okay, then Jules and Elliot they develop a relationship also. So there's that. I feel like Rue and Jules were definitely like using Elliot in their own way, just sort of bouncing him back and forth between them two. I guess they were just having whatever relationship they wanted with him. So, and then Kat, let me see. Kat is definitely, I would say, outside of Cassie, I would say definitely Nat. The actress that play her, I cannot pronounce her name, but I'm just gonna say she looked good. Her and Cassie, they both, I think, are the most attractive in the show. Yeah, that's all I can basically say about them. It's just they look good. Shout out to both of them actresses. Kat, she can't seem to not be able. She can't seem to understand how good Nate. I mean, how good Ethan is. She may not be used to maybe a dude treating her that good, and I guess Ethan is your typical nice guy, and she doesn't like it. I guess she doesn't feel that he's manly enough for her. I guess I don't know. So we get that type of feeling. Yeah, she does him pretty dirty. Yeah, but flashback shows Cal. He has some sort of I guess homoerotic feelings towards his friend Derek, and he cries because he ends up getting his girlfriend pregnant, and he finds out he can't be with Derek. So there's that. So definitely he has some type of feelings towards his best friend, and we see that Nate, I guess has some homoerotic feelings that he's trying to suppress. because he's also interested in Jules, and we also end up finding out that Jules is transgendered. I had no clue. The actress actually is transgendered. So yeah, I didn't really see that come. I believe the character is transgendered too. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't see that happening. So I guess the character feels that he's confused about his sexuality because he's attracted to Jules, and then also I heard that people were saying that while Cassie was trying to attract um Nate's attention, that she went from dressing like Maddie to sort of trying to resemble uh Jules also. So that was really interesting. Yeah, yeah, okay. Gia and Rue, they argue about I think it was Rue relapsing and stuff like that. Like I said, I like seeing Rue's tension with her family because it shows that she's really going off the rails. She really just falls apart in this season. Yeah, so yeah, that was I like seeing that. I like seeing my main protagonist really get down and dirty where it feels like they have no chance of possibly coming back because they really push them as far as they can. Not try to make it seem like they're still good. Like they really love my protagonist to just get turned bad. I love seeing that. Lexi feels like a background character in her own life. It seems like that character. I didn't even really notice her until later on in the series. In this season, I Lexi kind of just always fell in the background. Also, we get a lot of background, I believe, in this season of different characters and their origin story. I don't remember a whole lot from season one because I binge watched it so quickly, but we get an idea of Cassie's background. I believe in this season, or if it was a season one, but we see her story of I guess her issues with her father and how from a young age was sort of objectified by sort of older men in her family, talking about doing weird sexual stuff that made her feel uncomfortable. So I guess that sort of had her character be very sexual as a teenager. This show, I really like how they make a lot of these characters really human to show you how they became who they become through episodes where it's all about their origin story. I like the way they do that in the show, to really be able to get an idea of who these characters are. Rue goes to Lori, this lady, drug lady, to do some business, and she's very one of the scariest people of this show. We'll get into her later on, but Cal finally talks things over with Fez. As we can see, he was stalking Fez until Fez's little bro comes and puts a shotgun to his head, and they sort of talk some things over after cracking Cal's head open practically, and they can eventually resolve some things that went on with Fez beating the daylights out of Nate, and that's about it. Then they basically kick Cal out. So that whole scene was funny, by the way. That whole scene with the kid just knocking him, just hitting his head, like 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 you show that he's really in over his head, Cal. Allie and Rudy argue over the suitcase, and Rue says some really foul stuff about Ali's past, about abuse and stuff like that. Like I said, I love seeing Rue really get to the dark side in this season. Rue's mom thinks that she's doing good, but really she's relapsed and has a bunch of drugs in her suitcase. So, you know, just the Rue's going completely off the rails. Cassie and Cal, they also have scenes later on in the season where they're just pretty much downward spiral from their broken hearts. Cassie's going crazy because she wanted to be with Nate to the point where she ends up throwing up in a pool at the party, and Cal is driving drunk. Like, these two lunatics just really going off the rails, as we can see. Heroin, fentanyl, to benzo. Rue is also, like I said, she's going down a downward spiral, but it's also seemed like it's linked to her dad. She has a scene where she envisions herself at a funeral, I believe, and she was dancing with her dad, but it was all in her head because she was high on drugs. That whole grief was just kind of dark to see. Uh, then Cal has that scene where he comes out to his family after peeing all over the floor, and then he tells Nate that he regrets him, and just yeah, that was a crazy scene. Ruth's mom finds out Rue is doing drugs again and takes a suitcase because of Jules. Jules ended up snitching on Rue, and Rue and Jules, they have a fight and stuff like that, and then Rue. One of my favorite episodes of the season is when Rue runs. They were trying to get her to go to rehab, and she just sprints and just gets up out of there. And then yeah, that was that. Like I said, I love seeing her just hit rock bottom. It was really great seeing this. I love that because it make it seem like she would never come back from it. And while she was on a run, she ends up going to one of her friends' houses. I believe it was Cassie's house or somebody's house, one of them girls' house. I don't remember their names. And then Cassie ends up saying, she ends up finding out that Rue was battling with drug addiction, and she just tells her, "Oh, just take it one day at a time," you know. And then Rue just basically comes back and just tells everybody, "Hey, you've been sleeping with Nate," and that causes Maddie to just completely get violent, as she would say. And yeah, then of course, after causing all that hell and destruction, Rue runs off and causes some more. She steals from Fez's grandmother, then commits breaking and entering to some woman's house. Then she runs from the cops and just. Then she ends up finally running back into Lori and basically telling Lori that, hey, I'll pay you back. But basically, Lori can tell that Rue is withdrawing from drugs. And I know my video is about to cut out soon, so prepare to probably have a part 2 to this, by the way. And then Lori says something that's really disturbing, about her not having the money. She says, if you don't have any money, you still have something people want, suggesting that basically she'd be a sex slave, and then we also have that scene where also we hear some weird voices and in like a closet, like some scratching. Like this really turned into a horror movie almost. Like she like it like so this is hinting that most likely Lori got some girls, I guess she's selling into sex trafficking or something. So yeah, and then Lori ends up giving Rue some morphine, and puts her in a tub, and we don't know what she could have done to Rue when she was out. Lori's calmness is so eerie because it's even crazier because the actress that plays Lori is a comedian, and she actually talks that way. So it's even more like yo, this woman is really like not the actress, but this character is really wow. Rue recovering, she also ends up escaping. That was a tense scene too. She escapes from Lori. So we know Lori's gonna come back in the future. Obviously season 3. We just don't know when. Rue recovering. She says sorry to Ali and stuff about, bringing up that thing from his past, and now she was able to eat that piece of candy. Now that she's slowly recovering. I like that, Nate's Kat trying to then Kat has a scene where she's sort of like, I guess, trying to break up with Ethan when they're at the diner, and she sort of try to flip things around when she's breaking up with him. Sort of trying to make it seem like she's not as bad. Usually I've seen in movies where men mistreat a character like Kat, but instead she's sort of missing out on something good. Dude, to actually really care about her instead of some. But she seems like she. I guess I don't know. He's just too good for her. He's too much of a nice guy, and she just can't handle it. So Rue's mom telling Nate he's turned dark. So definitely they have a scene where they talk. Nate talks to his mom and stuff like that. We know that he's making a reference to when he was looking at those weird tapes with his dad's weird sex tapes. That's what sort of turned him to kind of lose himself a bit, kind of become more of a sociopath. And his mom seemed to be letting him be who he is, just like, hey, she seems to just be cool with her son being a bit of a sociopath. She just seems to be carefree, and, then there's a scene where Nate was playing Russian roulette with Maddie over his dad's CD, and even though the gun ends up being empty, she does that to him, so that definitely shows that their relationship is done. Then he ends up turning his dad. He ends up turning on his dad too, and he apologized to Rue. So we see that Nate is sort of, I guess, turning over a new leaf. I'm assuming he's trying to not be as sociopathic. So yeah, was trying to stop Rue from committing suicide. Then there was a scene where Rue was on a phone. I believe Rue's mom was on a phone trying to stop Rue from committing suicide. I don't remember how that scene went because I ain't seen it in a long time, but I want to bring that scene up, that happened. So I don't remember exactly how it happened because I haven't watched this season 2 since like February, so I can't say much about that because I don't remember it, I'll be honest. I should have really did this review right after binge watching it, but if you're ever new to this show, new to my channel, I'm really late with reviews because I need to be a better YouTuber. So back with my review. Lexi's play, being about most of the characters on the show, I found it kind of weird that they were cursing in a high school play, but this is the show Euphoria, where girls come to school dressed like they're going to the club. So that this show Euphoria takes place in an alternate universe in a high school. Because definitely when I was in high school, these girls weren't dressing like that. But yeah, the play is about sort of Lexi's origins and stuff like that, her upbringing, and the play switches from like real life to theater back and forth. The production on this show must be incredibly expensive with stuff they be coming up with. Rue's mom saying, then Rue's mom said something that was pretty deep. She says that about like losing two daughters, and if she had to choose which one she would lose, she would pick Rue. She would always pick Gia to live. I mean, hey, Rue is pretty much the wild child, so I guess I can understand that. Yeah. Lexi is growing into her own in the theater. Wait, let me see. Make sure my video isn't cutting out. Shocking, I'm going 20 minutes in, and my video has not stopped.